So I want to talk about one of the most disappointing things I think that's happened to MK11, and it has to do with the data mines. Now, the thing might have to correct me here. I don't know if it's still this way, but the data mines back months ago, right after Kombat Pack 2, might have been before. No, it had to have been after Kombat Pack 2, showing that there was still 5 unused character slots in the game files. And, you know, a lot of people thought those character slots were meant for characters like Cyrax and Sectorn. I'll get into those characters, but Chronica, maybe even Fire God Liu Kang, even though Liu Kang's already a character. We've had multiple different versions of characters in multiple different fighting games, so that's nothing really new. Would it be disappointing? Yeah, but it's a new character, so I wouldn't bitch all that much, especially if he was fun. But I think this is a really disappointing thing, because you can call me crazy for saying this, but Mortal Kombat 11 does not feel like a complete fighting game roster. It does not feel like a complete fighting game. If you want to know what Mortal Kombat 11 most compares to, in my opinion, it's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, you might be asking, well, if Mortal Kombat 11 is so close to one of the biggest failures in fighting game history from a big-name developer like Capcom, you know, why hasn't that happened to Mortal Kombat? Well, that's because Mortal Kombat didn't look like complete shit. No, Mortal Kombat 11 didn't look like complete garbage, and it at least had some fan-favorite characters, unlike Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite that had barely any characters and looked like complete shit. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite still has something over Mortal Kombat 11, and that is it's fun to play, but that's, again, I bitch about that way too many of my videos, so, yeah, that's neither here nor there. But that's why Mortal Kombat 11 kind of didn't get the treatment that MVCI did. It has a great single-player campaign, it looks great, it does have some fan favorites, but still, there are so many characters missing. If you're just a casual jumping into Mortal Kombat for every other game or whatever, you just come by every game that releases and plays for a few months, you probably won't notice all the characters missing. But the guys who stay, the girls, guys, dudes, whatever, who stay through these games' lifespans, 3 years almost at this point, you really notice those missing characters. And this big data mine, this was like the trip, right? This was the last combat pack, the big 5-character combat pack to complete the roster, make the game feel a little bit more whole, even everything out, and send us into waiting on the next NRS fighting game, and it's just never come. I've seen a lot of people say, well, it's been canceled, this, that, and the other, it's the COOF's fault. Well, look at the AT&T deal with Discovery, this, that, and the other. I still don't think there's really an excuse to also break a promise saying that, you know, there would be no more characters that are in the story mode that don't end up playable, characters that you fight against in the story mode, characters with full movesets that you fight against in the story mode that wouldn't be full playable characters, because MKX was really bad about that. There was like 7 characters that were in the story mode that you fought against that had full fucking movesets that just never came as DLC. Now, there were characters like Tanya who did come. I'm pretty sure Bo Rai Cho was in the story mode and he eventually came. I can't really name any other characters. I know Triborg was not. But there might have been another one that was in the story mode that showed up, but for the most part, they didn't. And that, I mean, I remember the lashback on that. Like, I mean, it was characters like Sindel, it was characters like Stryker, characters like Rain, like so many damn characters that were fightable in the story mode with full movesets, and you just never got to play as them, never got them as DLC, never got to pay for them. And we got that promise around the time that, you know, the lashback happened for that it wouldn't happen again, and now here it is. It's really disappointing too, because it's 2 big fan favorites in Mortal Kombat. I think that's why the data mine is so disappointing. It's so disappointing because it shows us what could have been, what would have been. Would these 5 extra characters make Mortal Kombat 11 a better fighting game? Would it make it more fun to play online? No, probably not. Would it change the fatal blow mechanic, the flawless block mechanic, the crushing blow mechanic? No, it wouldn't. But it would give us more to do. The lab rats like me who love to go in the lab and figure new characters out. It gives me another 20, 30, 40 hours of gameplay just chilling in the lab, and then another 20, 30, 40 hours playing online until the online finally crushes my hopes, dreams, and soul and sends me packing to another fighting game again. That's still hours on end of more content, and that makes the game feel a little bit more complete, because this game does not feel like a complete fighting game. It doesn't feel like a complete game. Even the story mode doesn't feel complete. And that's like a whole nother video. We'll touch on it a little bit right here. But even the story mode doesn't feel complete. They gave us the good ending, I guess, of Mortal Kombat 11, the main story, and then they give us this ambiguous pick your own ending for endings for Aftermath. And it's like, well, which one's real? Which one's good? Which one's bad? Which one's canon? Is this going to be followed up in MK12? Or were we going to get another Aftermath DLC, like Aftermath Part 2, to figure this out and get characters like Havoc? Like, what's going on there? Like, it just feels so open-ended and, like, not complete. And I mean, you can't really talk about Chronica not being in the game because they do have a good defense there. MKX was like the most recent Mortal Kombat game that actually had the villain playable, like the big boss of the game actually playable for multiplayer and like playing against your friends and stuff. NRS have done that with Injustice 2 as well, and I think Injustice, well, of course Injustice 1 because Superman, you know, the Injustice gang were the big villains in that, but MK9 didn't have it. I don't believe Shao Kahn was playable in MK9, so he might have been, I don't exactly remember, but so you can't really bitch too much there. But continuing the trend, like with Injustice 2 and MKX having the villains playable, giving the bosses these cool ass movesets that you can have fun with and watch these pros figure out and completely break, like people playing Shinnok in MKX. Even though he wasn't the best, he was still pretty strong there for a little bit. I remember a lot of people playing him. You know, it's just disappointing to not see this character, and then they give us this cool ass version of Liu Kang, Fire God Liu Kang, who looks like he could be like the opposite of evil Ryu, like the heavenly Ryu. There's another version of Saul, and I can't remember it, from Guilty Gear, that's just a complete badass with an entirely different moveset. And they could have had that for Liu Kang, just making the game feel more complete. And I think that's why these data mines, like when I think about them, the only word, even if it's the incorrect word, is just disappointment. Because I'm disappointed they didn't finish off this game. I'm disappointed this game doesn't feel complete. I'm disappointed that this is a Mortal Kombat entry that I'll probably never go back to and enjoy the same way that I do with MKX, Injustice 2, Injustice 1, and even moderately MK9. You know, it's just, that's just the word that comes to my head, disappointing. I don't even know if a lot of people still remember this datamon, but yeah, there was 5 characters, 5 unused character slots. A lot of people were assuming it was for Sector, Cyrax, Chronica, Fire God Liu Kang, and then probably Reptile or Ermac. Maybe take Fire God Liu Kang out for Ermac or Reptile, and Ermac or Reptile, whichever one in the other slot. So just, you know, whatever. I don't know if a lot of people even remember this shit, but yeah, it's still there as far as I know. You might have to have the thingy correct me on that. I could be wrong. But yeah, as far as we know, as far as I know, it's still in there. And it just feels like it's never going to happen. We're getting all these big Mortal Kombat 11 plus Injustice 2 sales for like $35, $45, $55. Like, it does feel like it's the end of Mortal Kombat 11. And while I'm not the most sad person in the world because of that, because I know what comes next, a new game, you know, it would have been nice to see the game actually completed. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. How do you feel about this? I know a lot of you have been around the channel for a while. I see a lot of the same names in the comments. So, you remember this state of mine, right? Like, damn, it's disappointing, ain't it? Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. If those 5 slots were to get used, let me know who you'd like to see in the God's Gift Combat Pack, God's Miracle Combat Pack, because it's probably never going to happen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sutin. I've been your host, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.